Going live in 10. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Rotoworld Fantasy Basketball Q&A. I'm Raphielle Johnson, joined as always by Noah Rubin. I thought we were done with the yard work sounds when the podcast shifted to a Q&A, but we are not. So I'm actually in my workout room today. But Noah, how's everything going Friday thus far?
It's going well for me. Is that a Red Sox thing hanging up for you?
Yeah, it's old. It's from the 04 World Series.
Nice.
I don't really follow baseball much anymore, but it's still up there.
Sports.
Is that can't really see it, but there's a little brother poster on the wall too.
Nice.
My favorite rap group. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no. Friday's going well for me. Can't complain. Nice big slate of games tonight, but none of them, only one of them starts later than 8 p.m. Eastern, which is, I mean, it can't be more ideal for me.
Yeah, that is awesome. Rare night off for me, but that's to have all the games. It's kind of hard when you're working just because everything's concentrated, but
for sure
you will still get to bed a little bit earlier than usual. So that's good.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Definitely. All right, let's get into some questions since we already have some lined up in the queue. First one is from Evelyn. Andrew Nembhard and Shaden Sharp or Ryan Rollins, 9K head-to-head. Who are we picking here?
Would this be a trade of Nembhard and Sharp for Rollins and deciding which side you prefer?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is the goal here.
Wow. This is always one of those fun ones where it's like, imagine seeing this preseason. Like,
yeah,
Andrew Nembhard, breakout candidate. Shaden Sharp, breakout candidate for Ryan Rollins. Who? Preseason.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I like the Ryan Rollins side, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nembhard has been pretty good, but there is the shutdown risk in Indiana. Shaden Sharp, his role has been, I mean, he's been coming off the bench recently. I'm assuming he will be a starter eventually, but it's a lot of points from him and not too much else. And I'm excited to see how good Ryan Rollins can be with Giannis out for an extended period of time. And then there's also just the random factor of, hey, maybe Giannis is traded. So
yeah, I think I'd lean into that as well. I think I would have thought about it a little bit harder if Giannis were healthy, but since he isn't, I think that's all the more reason to take a swing on a move like this. See how the partnership between Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. works out long term. They seem pretty excited about it in Milwaukee, so he's going to have every opportunity to continue to start and produce. So yeah, I would go with Ryan Rollins in this scenario as well. And her second question, do you think Şengün will get power forward eligibility on ESPN? That is a good question. I'm going to pull up Cleaning the Glass to see what their position data is for Şengün.
Yeah, I know Basketball Reference has it as well, so I'm curious, one, how that lines up, and two, because, I mean, maybe it was one thing when they were starting the two big lineup, but they haven't really been doing that recently.
Yeah, Cleaning the Glass has a 56-44 split in terms of time spent at center versus power forward. So I can certainly understand why that question would be asked, and the more positions, the better when it comes to filling out your fantasy rosters too. So
yeah, let me see if I'm even able to. I can never find it. It always is just somewhere on the page, but I'm assuming it's mostly center on Basketball Reference as well. So
yeah,
I don't have any reason to believe that they would add his power forward eligibility, but I mean, fingers crossed.
All right, Byron, thanks for checking in again. Who's the better pickup now and maybe for the rest of the season, John Collins or Bobby Portis?
I haven't. Has John Collins said anything? Because I know last time I checked, he hadn't.
I'm not. I'm well off the John Collins bandwagon if it still exists at this point. So
he's had a couple okay games recently.
Yeah, I'm still.
I'm not
I'm willing to
disagreeing
roll
with
the
you, but
dice on Porter. Yeah.
it's definitely better than it was
Mhm.
for John Collins.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the upside of Bobby Portis here is much higher than John Collins.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll see how they handle that starting spot. Jericho Sims started the second half the other night and had the best game of his career practically against the Pistons. Can he really do that for 30 minutes a game with Giannis out? I don't think we're going to get consistent double-doubles, but I still like Kuzma and Portis in terms of streaming value with Giannis out compared to Jericho Sims, but that performance on Wednesday was certainly an eye-opener.
Yes, compared to Jericho Sims, I like Portis and Kuzma, but just in general, I'm not a huge
Yeah.
proponent of adding Kyle Kuzma at this point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And also, he made a trade. Denny Avdia and Zach Edey for Giannis on Monday. Obviously, he's got to keep him in the IL spot, but he thinks he won that trade. What are your thoughts on that, dude?
Yeah, so he when I did the Q&A, wait, how'd you do this trade on Monday? He asked me in the Q&A on Tuesday that I did with Kingy and Thunder Dan. He asked if we should or if he should do this. And then we messaged about it after, but I recommended it. I agree that I think you had to do that trade at the time. Obviously, the injury stinks, and that's gonna change things, and it's gonna feel like you lost for about 2 to 4 weeks. But I think the uncertainty around it definitely brings some question marks. But the safe factor here is it's Giannis.
Yeah.
So if he gets traded or if he stays, as long as he's on the court, he is going to produce like Giannis. Like nobody's going to limit him or take away value from him. So the timing stinks, but I still stand by that being a good trade.
And he cleared up that he lost track of his days later in the comments there. So.
Nice.
All right, and last one from him. Would you drop Ryan Kalkbrenner for either Portis or John Collins?
Not Collins.
Yeah. I don't know if I would. Even though Kalkbrenner's production hasn't been like elite, I feel like we kind of know what we're going to get from him in terms of the categories where he's productive. And as long as his ankle checks out, he rolled his ankle the other night. As long as that checks out, I think I would hold on to him. Or if anything, maybe try to trade him if you wanted to do that, as opposed to just drop him outright.
Interesting. I didn't see that he got moved to the bench. I wonder if that's a change that sticks, or if that was maybe a matchup thing against the Knicks, because Diabate moves well enough to try and guard Cat as opposed to Kalkbrenner. Curious.
He picked up. It was a weird rotation because he picked up 2 quick fouls.
Yeah.
But they put Tijan Salon in that first sub, not Kalkbrenner.
Sure.
So
that'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly an interesting night at the world's most famous arena. But
yeah, I think I'd probably it's the next 2 to 4 weeks could be better for Portis than Kalkbrenner, but I just think rest of season, like I don't think you drop a guy like Kalkbrenner for Portis, especially because Portis hasn't been great this year. Like he's had some good games, but hasn't been his typical elite streaming self.
All right, Wemby, thanks for tuning back in. Do you think it is worth a buy low on Zach LaVine? Also, would you drop Ace Bailey or Danny Wolf, 9-cat, 12-team league?
Yes. So as far as LaVine, I'm not optimistic about anything going on in Sacramento. There is the scenario where he gets traded. Probably doesn't happen until closer to the deadline, and then maybe he's able to be productive second half of the season. I think it just depends on how low you can get him for. Like if you're getting somebody, I think like rounds is just a good way to put it. Like you're losing like roughly 2 rounds of value, which that probably doesn't mean all that much. It would just depend on the player, but probably not too worth it. Like if you can buy really low, then I think it's worth the upside risk, but it'd probably take a pretty nice value there for me to do it. And then dropping Ace Bailey for Danny Wolf. Danny Wolf has been really good. I just
I don't know if I drop Ace to get him.
Right, because he's starting. Ace Bailey's starting.
Yeah.
I think Danny Wolf is a final 2 month of the season starter, like a silly season stud.
Mhm.
The last few games have been good off the bench. It's also been some pretty favorable matchups. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
Utah, Chicago, and Charlotte and Milwaukee I don't think Giannis played in that game. So, or maybe he did. I don't
I think
remember.
he
But
did play, but
okay, so maybe yeah, okay, but that one was the absolute blowout. That was the game where he scored 29 points in 19 minutes. So he
yeah.
played, but he wasn't out there very long. So like what I've seen from Danny Wolf, I don't think that I'd drop a certified starter that's also a rookie that's going
Mhm.
to that's not a shutdown risk to get Danny Wolf. I think there is a scenario where you pick up Danny Wolf. I don't think you pick him up as a quote unquote stash though. I think
Yeah.
you pick him up as hey, he's playing pretty well, but I don't think I'd drop Ace Bailey.
Yeah, I will say that something interesting about the Nets Jazz game last night is that during the fourth, they had a lineup that included Danny Wolf, Noah Clowney, and Nick Claxton on the floor together. I don't know if that's something you're going to do. You're going to see for like extended periods where, like, for example, they all start later in the season, but that's something to keep in mind down the road in terms of where Wolf could potentially fit into lineups. I think him getting more minutes doesn't automatically have to come at the expense of one of those other two, especially right now with Michael Porter Jr. out injured. So that's something to keep an eye on, but I would not be dropping Ace Bailey. Like Noah said, he's starting, playing good minutes. I think he's played reasonably well as well. So I would hold on to him. As for Levine, I don't have any faith with anyone on that roster besides Keegan Murray at this point. Yeah, the vibes are just all bad in Sacramento right now. They played a little better recently, I believe, but I can't really trust any of those vets in fantasy right now. Okay, got another question. Would you trade Zach Edey and Keyshawn George for Amin Thompson, 9-cat 12-teamer? Now he's got Portis, Kalkbrenner, Porzingis, and Miles Turner and Biggs, and he prefers Miles Turner over Zach Edey.
So my only thing here with this is that, in my opinion, right now, I would say Zach Edey is the best center that you have. And I wouldn't necessarily be looking to move him unless I had to. I'd rather trade any of the other centers than Zach Edey at this point. And Keyshawn George's upside is enough there.
Mm-hmm.
It would be buying low on Amin Thompson, but it's kind of been, I mean, considering where we were drafting him, a disappointing season for him so far. So, and I'm not really saying like the change that's going to happen. I think this would be like maybe he just like starts playing better.
Mm-hmm.
And like the last couple games have been good. He's had some 20-point games in there. I don't know how much I love this trade. If Amin was playing better, I think I'd feel better about it. I don't know. I don't think I would do this.
Yeah. I can see preferring Turner if you're punting rebounds, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I like the idea of parting ways with Zach Edey. Even when Ja gets back, he's still going to figure prominently in that offense, even if it's primarily as a role guy and not getting as many post-ups. So I would hold on to Edey. I like Amin Thompson. I like all three guys in this potential trade, but I would not want to give up Zach Edey personally. All right, got another trade. Do you have Ryan Rollins and Miles Turner for Denny Avdia? Same format.
Ooh. I think I would do this if I'm assuming you're getting Denny Avdia because you have Miles Turner. Mm-hmm. So, I think I would do this. You're getting the best player in the trade, and you're probably, I guess, maybe you're pitching the angle of, hey, Giannis is out. Really good opportunity for both Ryan Rollins and Miles Turner. Yeah. Giannis comes back within a month. I mean, 2 to 4 weeks, assuming he's back in a month. Rollins will still be great. Turner has been pretty disappointing this year. Don't even know that Giannis being out is really going to help him. But Denny Avdia has been very, very good so far.
Yeah, I would make this trade too. I think I'm more willing to part with Miles Turner than Zach Edey, going back to your last question. And if you can get Denny, even with the turnovers, he brings so much to the table that it really doesn't have too much of a negative impact on his value. So, yeah, I would definitely do this if you can get it done. All right, pop a cold one. Thanks for tuning in. Is it too soon to pick up Danny Wolf in 12-team 9-cat head-to-head? I assume he'll be a silly season hero, but silly season is a ways out.
Yeah, I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about just a little bit ago with Danny Wolf. I agree that he'll be a silly season hero, and I also agree that it's probably too early to pick up someone just to stash for silly season, but he has been pretty good recently. So if you have a player that you can probably drop, then I would be fine picking up Danny Wolf. Again, case-by-case basis, I wouldn't drop Ace Bailey to get Danny Wolf, but there are some other players that I would consider. So, yeah, he's been productive enough that I think it's worth picking him up because maybe he just keeps playing well. Like that's a scenario. Yeah. So,
yeah, I think the hope is that he gets some defensive production along the way. That really hasn't been the case. So his overall value has stayed pretty low, but the points, rebounds, those have been really good recently. Even assists, about 2.5 a game over the last 2 weeks. It's not too bad for someone of his size. So there are positives, but there are also reasons to kind of hold off and take a more cautious approach to Danny Wolf right now. All right, Keldon Johnson, Ace Bailey, Santi Aldama, PJ Washington. Are any of these guys priority holds 12-team 9-cat head-to-head?
Ace Bailey is.
Yeah.
I think the rest of them are kind of like you don't have to. Not priority holds, I guess, by definition, no.
Yeah, not sure exactly when Wemby and Steph Castle will be back, but that impacts Keldon, obviously. Aldama, you kind of know what you're going to get from him at this point. I don't know if what he brings to the table makes him a priority hold, especially when Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey are healthy. PJ Washington's got the ankle sprain, and even when he's on the floor, he gives suitable fantasy value, but nothing that screams, I have to hold on to this person. Bailey, in terms of production, I'd say he's probably similar, but the thing is, as a rookie in his role on a rebuilding team, what can potentially come from him down the line is why he's the hold for me as well. Okay, James would like to know, would you trade Norman Powell and Royce O'Neal for Derek Queen and Jaden Ivey? 14-team, 14-cat roto redraft, and he needs rebounds.
I mean, I assume there's no way that's Dwight Powell. It has to be Drake Powell, and I'm not missing another Powell, correct?
Did Drake Norman? I thought it was Norman.
So I am missing
that seems
Powell.
a bit, yeah.
So now this trade now it makes a little bit more sense why it's a question. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need rebounds, I get trying to get there at Queen. I just giving up Norman Powell's a lot. He's been really good in Miami. I think Tyler Hero's doubtful for tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So is it like if he's dealing with a toe injury? Was the toe injury that made him miss a certain? No, that was like
that was the foot / ankle injury that sidelined him to start.
Okay, so say he ends up missing some time. That's me entirely speculating here. I mean, he is officially doubtful. So I don't know that I'd be looking to trade Norm Powell. I don't think it's worth it just because you need rebounds. I think trying to find a different solution probably makes more sense.
Yeah, I would try to craft a different trade for sure. And let's see, Derek Queen's rebound numbers from his last 5 games, starting from last night, 5, 6, 3, 0, and 9. So, and he's averaging 6.1 per game for the season. So certainly not a terrible rebounder, but I wonder if you look around your league, maybe you can find a slightly more productive option to trade for now if you need that boost now as opposed to waiting for what Queen may be able to get you later in the season. Okay. Let's see. Will Anthony Black keep it up with Paolo Banchero back?
Nope. Sadly.
Yeah.
Huge Anthony Black fan, but nobody's keeping it up with Paolo back.
Yeah, he'll take a hit to value for sure. I think if anything, he's more impacted by Jalen Suggs and then the whole back-to-back situation. So you're probably looking at a spot where you may not hold on to Anthony Black, but when that next back-to-back comes up, I think they got one in like 2 weeks or so. You're going to want to pick him up because Suggs still hasn't reached that point where he's playing both games of those. So
Paolo will keep it up with Paolo back. That's probably it.
There you go. All right, Clint, good afternoon. What are our thoughts on Ryan Nembhard the rest of the season and Jordan Walsh of the Boston Celtics?
Will be interesting to see if Ryan Nembhard can be the starting point guard for the rest of the season, because it's just kind of been a revolving door there with just so many different players getting the opportunity. I think that there's a chance that he starts rest of the season. And if he does, he's been really productive so far. Interested to see. I did the VOD yesterday on this. That's why I'm like spewing off facts. But like they have a back-to-back this weekend against OKC and Houston. So I'm pretty intrigued to see if he can like just even hold his own on that back-to-back against those defenses. Don't see a reason why they would make a change, but that's kind of how I felt with Brandon Williams, just because he's playing well. I think the only thing that would change it is Kyrie coming back. And does Kyrie come back?
Yeah.
Don't know at this point. Jordan Walsh is a player that I've liked for a couple of years, just hasn't really gotten an opportunity. Been stashing him in dynasty leagues. Now he's getting an opportunity. Defense first guy, but I think he's been doing a little bit more scoring recently too, which is pretty
scored
cool.
22 last night, career high for him. I know it was the Wizards, but still, that was his first ever 20-point game. So
good for him. And that was no Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, I think, is off the injury report for tonight, so he'll be back.
Yep.
So probably not a ton of consistent scoring, but the defensive, like specifically the steals, should be pretty good. So maybe a borderline standard league guy, but probably more of like a deep league steals streamer with upside to be much better.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole thing with him, you're still kind of waiting to see what happens with Jason Tatum. You know, if he's able to return at any point, do they even attempt to bring him back at any point this season? As for Nembhard, similar spot, you know, with the Kyrie Irving injury, as Noah noted. We talked about this on the last show, and I think a few shows before that. This 26 first-round pick is the last one Dallas has full control over until 2030. So it might be in their best interest to kind of taper it in a minute to some of these vets. Let the young guys play. You know, get your draft lottery odds up. Now, obviously, they didn't need the best odds last year to get Cooper Flagg, but this is a far deeper draft class in terms of who's projected to be in it. So even if you land like mid-lottery, I think there's a good chance you get like a good foundational piece. So that's something to consider. I think I like, in terms of these two players, I think Nembhard has better rest of season value, but there are variables at play for both of these guys. All right. Also, with Zion out, will Queen begin performing better? He seems to be dealing with the ups and downs of a rookie. And congrats again, Noah, on your newborn.
Thank you, Clint. Yes, he's going to continue to deal with the ups and downs of being a rookie. Like that is just going to keep happening because he's young and he's in New Orleans. I don't know that Zion being out just automatically means that he's going to perform better. Maybe it gets him some more opportunities, but he was playing well with Zion. Without Zion, there was some like advanced stats that were showing that them two playing together was actually a good thing for the Pelicans, and they were having some success in those lineups. Maybe more opportunity. So yeah, but I'm not expecting this dramatic impact. I mean, looking at the last few games, I don't remember exactly when Zion was out of the lineup again, but he's been good. So like, I think it's more just him being young and trying to figure things out that's going to make it inconsistent, not Zion being in and out of the lineup.
Yeah, Zion's missed the last 3 games.
Okay.
Queens hit double figures in all 3, but there haven't been like any groundbreaking performance. I think the closest one was probably on Tuesday. That overtime loss to Minnesota. He had 21, 8, and 6 with a steal. But yeah.
It does look like more minutes at least, so maybe that'll hopefully stick.
Yeah. I think I'm more concerned about the overall environment in New Orleans as opposed to like Zion being out for Derek Queen. That would be my concern more than anything, to be honest with you.
I mean, it doesn't look like firing Willie Green did anything. So maybe justice for Willie Green. I don't know. I don't know.
All right. All right. James wants to know, will the Jazz start Kyle Filipowski over Nurkic or not yet? Kyle started last night because Nurk was out. Haven't seen the report for tonight's game yet. But
maybe it'll come out in 5 minutes. Oh, no, wait. Nurkic is questionable.
Yeah. So, yeah, there will come a point, I believe, when Filipowski is the main starter. Just because why not? And similar to Dallas, like Utah has control of its future first, but they're not anywhere close to contending right now. So might as well take a swing at that draft lottery again and hope you get AJ DeBonsa to make that drive from Provo to Salt Lake City, basically.
They kind of have to chill a little bit. They just won 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Like, they're pulling away from New Orleans quick. I don't see this Jazz team as being like, they're still pieces away, if at least one big piece away. I get that developing winning habits is probably underrated with how important it is.
Yeah.
But I think one more trip to the lottery is actually going to be more important than that, and can't just be it can just be a trip to the lottery, but ideally trying to get back into the top 5, into the top 3. Maybe not even back. I guess Ace Bailey was just pick 5. Trying to get into the top 3, one of these elite stars. I don't think it's going to be. I don't know. I think they probably need to pull the plug earlier than they usually do to really make sure that they're at the bottom of this West. Because Dallas's injuries, the Clippers are a mess, the Kings are a mess, the Pelicans are a mess. So there's so many teams that they're going to have to slide below in the standings. All that to be said, I don't think they start Filipowski over Nurkic until probably after the trade deadline.
All right. What do we think of Dominic Barlow for the rest of the season?
I think I have him in a deeper league. I don't think I have him in a standard league, if I'm remembering this correctly. If he keeps starting, there's certainly some value there.
Yeah.
I guess until Kelly Oubre gets back, because I guess that would be the return that would push him back to the bench. So as long as, and I think, what was it? There's an update. Oubre's out another week or 2.
Yeah.
I remember.
Another update in a week. Yeah.
Okay. Another update in a week. Great. So that doesn't even necessarily mean he's close to returning. It just means they're going to tell us again in a week. So maybe he's a week away from being a week away. I don't know. But there's some value there as long as he's starting. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. But rest of the season, hard to project because it's not like we can predict who's going to be healthy and available for the 76ers.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Kyle would like to know, could AJ Green end up being this year's Malik Beasley in terms of elite three-point specialists? Thanks for clearing that up, Kyle.
That's hard to say. Like, I guess, could he be? Yes. Like, there's a lot of elite 3-point shooters that can be. Is he going to get the volume where he's at the top of the league in total 3-pointers made? He has the last handful of games, but I don't know that that's something we can rely on him to do for the rest of the season. So it's like, maybe he could. I wouldn't bank on it.
Yeah, he's very dependent on Giannis' situation. If it's something where he's going to be relatively healthy once he returns and remains in Milwaukee, then I think the potential is certainly there just because Giannis has such gravity on offense that guys like Green do get cleaner looks. But I think these next couple of weeks with Giannis out are going to tell the tale for AJ Green in terms of his rest of season potential. If he can do a bit more than what he's been asked to do thus far, we'll see. But I think it's certainly possible that he can provide similar 3-point value for the entire season. Okay, who is the better stash now? 10-team 9K head-to-head. We've got Filipowski, Jaden Ivey, Jeremiah Fears, and he is patiently waiting for Jaden Ivey to start.
I would rank them probably Fears, Filipowski, Ivy, because Fears is giving you good value now. And he's probably going to start rest of the season. Filipowski's probably going to start the last 2 months of the season. Jaden Ivey is still having his minutes managed, if I'm not mistaken. He's not a stash to me because he's maybe a player that you roster. I wouldn't consider him a stash because Detroit is going to do what's going to help this team win. If Jaden Ivey is not getting caught up to speed, he's not going to move into the starting lineup. And if that's not what's beneficial for the team, and there's not going to be this silly season opportunity for him to just play 35 minutes a game with high usage. Detroit's at the top of the East. That's just not going to happen. So could he eventually start? Yes. Is that going to happen soon? It's hard to say. But I would probably rank them in terms of who I feel most confident in. Fears, Filipowski, Ivy.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't necessarily want to punt on this season for Jaden Ivey from a fantasy standpoint, but that team being so good and being as deep as it is, I think it makes it difficult to really count on him for the rest of the season, especially in a 10-team league. Fears and Filipowski, on the other hand, I can certainly see arguments for both of them. And I'm with Noah in terms of how you rank these three players. I think Fears is at the top of the list just because he's starting now. That team is 3-20. And in the West, I don't think they're going to be able to do what they need to do to get into a play-in spot. I don't know. I think you might have to be at minimum 42-40 to get into the play-in in the West. That's kind of, and they're already 3-20. So we expect him to play.
Trying to do the math there. Do I think this is going to happen?
That's 65% win percentage the rest of the season, and I may be shortchanging it. So I've seen nothing from that team to lead me to believe that they're capable of doing it. So Fears would be one. Filipowski, like we said earlier, not the greatest value right now, but once we hit January and the trade deadline in February, he'll be a lot more valuable to you in fantasy. All right, Brandon, thanks for tuning in. Mikal Bridges and Quentin Grimes for Norman Powell and Derek Queen. Which side will you take 12-team 9-cat head-to-head?
Ooh. Would you say, and I think you would agree with this, Mikal Bridges is the best player in this trade?
Yeah.
With Norman Powell second. I think I would go Mikal Bridges and Grimes and take that side because Derek Queen's pretty volatile, and I like Norman Powell, but Mikal's been better than Powell. And I feel more confident in Grimes than I do Derek Queen for rest of season based on all the injuries in Philly, and he's also been good as a reserve. So
yeah, and plus Mikal doesn't miss games. Knock on wood. That's the other thing that swings it in their favor on this side of this proposed. I don't know if it's a proposed trade or just kind of comparing them, but I would take Bridges and Grimes as well. Excuse me. All right, Gigatronics would like for us to rank these three players. Rest of the season value: Ryan Kalkbrenner, Andre Drummond, and Maxime Reynaud. Might be our first Maxime Reynaud question of the year.
Nice. I'd love to rank Maxime Reynaud not last, but when Sabonis comes back, he's going to lose minutes. So unless Sabonis gets traded, it's hard to be really confident in Reynaud. So the rest of the season aspect isn't great for him. Probably actually the order you have it, just because I think Andre Drummond is worth rostering rest of the season just with the iffiness of Joel Embiid's availability and how much are they going to push him to play when they really want him to be healthy in April. They shouldn't care that much about how healthy he is now. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Andre Drummond, but I think just the fact that Kalkbrenner's role is the absolute safest here, I'd probably go Kalkbrenner first.
I'll take Drummond first, Kalkbrenner second, and then Reynaud third. I don't trust the Kings to break things up as they probably should, and I don't know what type of value they'd be able to get if they wanted to go that route either. So I don't know. I hope Maxime gets more runs. He's played pretty well recently. At a minimum, I think you'd probably let him start over Drew Eubanks right now, personally. But
one would think.
yeah. I think Drew played like 10 minutes the other night. It's like,
Yeah.
why? All right. You got a trade proposal here. Russell Westbrook, Josh Hart, and Tobias Harris for Darius Garland and Isaiah Hartenstein.
Gosh, I think I'm taking the first side here.
Yeah. I think
Garland
too much.
Yeah, and you're giving up players that have been like the past couple weeks. Josh Hart's been the best player in this trade.
Yeah.
I don't know why it took Mike Brown a few weeks to like realize that Josh Hart is really impactful when he's on the floor. Like you don't have to play him as much as Tom Thibodeau did, but probably don't make him a backup. Darius Garland, if he was healthy, would be the best player in this trade, but he just hasn't been healthy. I thought it was just going to be, hey, he misses time to start the year. There's no need to rush him back to make him like risk re-injury, but that's kind of happened. Hartenstein's been out for a little while now, but I mean, he'll be fine when he gets back. Russell Westbrook's been getting a ton of usage and opportunity. Tobias Harris is Tobias Harris. I think I'd rather have the 3 than the 2 in this trade.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So I don't think Josh Hart's role is going to be decreased once OG gets back. I think if anything, Deuce McBride gets bounced to the bench.
Right.
Especially with Hart shooting the basketball better than he did to start the year. So, yeah, give me the 3 guys over the 2 you list here. And his last question, Kevin Porter Jr., is he ever getting small forward eligibility? I don't think that happens right now.
I don't really see.
Yeah, cleaning the glass has all of his minutes at either point guard or shooting guard. I don't know if Basketball Reference may have something different on him, but
okay, they let's see. Yeah, 42% of his minutes at point guard, 58% at shooting guard, 0% at small forward. But it looks like based on that, he's played when he was on the Bucks last year, 7% of his minutes at small forward. Interesting. But hasn't done it this year. I don't really see that happening.
Me neither. So, let's see. Get a little more little brother love. Yeah. Okay. All right. We don't comment on that. We know what it is, but appreciate the comment. Would you drop Bobby Portis or Vince Williams Jr. for Danny Wolf? 9-cat 12-teamer, and I'm in the top of the league. Maybe I can afford to have him. This goes back to his question earlier. If I'm not mistaken.
I think Vince, because John Morant's going to be back pretty soon. And granted, you can't bank on him staying healthy, but unless you're just desperate for assists, and honestly, I'm starting to in my leagues just look at and how good your team can be come playoff time. So it's in sneaking in. So if you're already at the top of your league, maybe you can afford to give up Vince, and then if you end up falling a little bit in the standings because you don't have Vince Williams assists, that happens. I guess.
Yeah, he's the one I would drop. We discussed this on Tuesday. The percentages are still really low. You're getting assists on most nights, but I don't think it's worth holding on to. And if you want to take a swing at Danny Wolf for the short term, see what he provides you. Top of the league, that's probably a good time to do it. So, all right, Kyle has a dynasty question. Looking to sell Ja Morant in my dynasty league as soon as possible when he comes back. What kind of return should I expect? And is top 60 realistic?
I think that just really kind of depends. Who in your league believes in Ja Morant? I think that he is a top 60 dynasty asset. I also think it's fair to say that not many people would want to give up a top 60 dynasty asset for a player that's been very injured but consistently injured and plays a style of basketball that can lead to injuries. So it's kind of like you might be able to get a top 60 player, but I think might be a little bit unrealistic unless someone in your league is just a big John Morant fan. It's like, that's possible.
Yeah, look, I don't know if I think top 60 is realistic, but there are just so many red flags from an availability standpoint that it may be difficult to actually receive that type of return for him. Like, you can certainly put something out there and attempt to get it. I just don't know if you'd be able to, though.
Right.
All right. Kingy, thanks for tuning in. Noah Clowney's been a top 50 guy over the past 2 weeks. What does his rest of season value look like? And he's got the same question for Scotty Barnes, who has been a first-round player thus far.
Oh, Noah Clowney. I mean, he has been starting, which is good. It's not like he's starting in place of Nick Claxton, who's hurt. Like, he's just straight up starting, and he's playing well with Michael Porter Jr. in and out of the lineup. He's been scoring a lot. Top 50, I don't think really is something we can expect. I think that's just a very hot stretch. I think he is a rosterable player for the rest of the season. I think top 100 is probably, I don't want to use the word safe, but like more of a realistic rest of season value, maybe just outside the top 100. But it's been very, very good so far. Maybe if you are able to sell high there. Scotty Barnes is playing incredibly well, and that's why Toronto is playing incredibly well. Career high 3-point percentage is the best finishing of his career high in blocks, matching his career high for steals, career high for points. I think that he can maintain that for the rest of the season, especially if Toronto's going to keep competing the way they have been. It starts and ends with Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, I feel better about Scotty Barnes maintaining first-round value than I do Noah Clowney being a top 100 player coming the end of the season. I think if you're optimistic, I think top 100 would be his ceiling. The floor could be pretty bad. But I think he hovers around like 125 to 150 range if we're talking value for the whole season. And even that may be slightly ambitious for Noah Clowney, but he's certainly got opportunities there in Brooklyn. Okay. Is Jeremiah fears a drop once Jordan Poole returns? Do I swap for Oubre in order to get ahead of the game?
I would not say that. I think that Jeremiah Fears was already starting alongside Jordan Poole and then starting without when Jordan Poole was just coming off the bench. If I'm trying to remember this correctly, I think Jordan Poole hasn't played since James Borrego became the interim coach, but I could be off on that. Or if he did, it wasn't much. But Jeremiah Fears is locked in. He is a starting point guard for the rest of the season. They are not benching him. He is playing really well for a player as young as he is that's playing point guard. Would not swap for Kelly Oubre because I also think that even though, like as we talked about, everything's iffy in Philly, nobody's staying consistently healthy except Tyrese Maxey, which not trying to jinx that. I don't think there's going to be a ton of usage there or enough for Oubre to be worth picking up at this point.
Yeah. Poole last played on November 4th, and they fired Willie Green on November 15th. So
okay. So, yeah.
And
I think it's been a month since Poole played. Goodness.
Yeah. I know it's the Pelicans, but it would be borderline malpractice for them to give some of Jeremiah Fears' minutes to Jordan Poole once he's healthy. So I don't think we're going to see that. And that in mind, I also would not drop Jeremiah Fears to pick up Kelly Oubre. Like we said earlier, he'll be reevaluated in 1 week. So there's no guarantee he'll be back available to play then. So that's even less reason to consider adding Kelly Oubre, especially in exchange for Jeremiah Fears. We're going to stick with the Pelicans here because Battle Truth would like to know. Come on, man. Say, could CP3 start for the Pelicans in 2025? I think if you're talking hypothetical, sure. Probably not, but I think a hypothetical is realistic, but actually play for the New Orleans Pelicans and start? No.
That'd be the funniest thing possible. It'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
They don't bench Jeremiah Fears for Jordan Poole. They bench him for Chris Paul in 2025. Or even worse, start them alongside each other.
Yeah.
Goodness, man, that would be. So I would say no. I think that unless Chris Paul is signing a one-day contract just to retire in New Orleans, that's probably not going to happen. I would be shocked if Chris Paul ends up with a different team if it wasn't a contending team.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Daniel, got a question. Is it Jericho Sims time? I don't think it's ever been Jericho Sims time, sadly.
It was Jericho Sims time the other
Wednesday.
night.
Yeah, it was, but we aren't going to be relying on him for that type of consistent production.
No.
I hope he does it, but yeah, no, I think this is certainly a case where you're going to want to watch to see how this plays out with him. First and foremost, if he gets a start with Giannis out, and secondly, what he produces while on the floor. But yeah, no, we're not. He says later in the thread that he's kind of half joking about that, but yeah, no, it's not Jericho Sims time just yet. Okay. James has a lineup question for tonight. Anthony Black, Kyle Filipowski, Ace Bailey, and Royce O'Neal. 2 open spots. Who should he start for tonight's action?
I would not start Anthony Black with Paolo back. If Nurkic is out, you start Filipowski. And if Nurkic is back, then you don't, and you start the other two. If Nurkic stays out, you start Filipowski. And who do the Suns play?
Yeah,
Houston. One of those. I don't know. Do you have a strong opinion there? I'm going to see what Royce O'Neal's been doing.
Not really. I don't think any of these guys have great matchups per se. Like, Orlando hosts Miami, then you got Utah playing the Knicks, and then just said Phoenix playing Houston. I think I would lean Ace Bailey and Royce O'Neal in terms of which two to start. Now, the scoring may not be there, but I think Royce can get you 3-pointers and steals in that role, even with the difficult matchup. So those are the two I would go with for tonight.
I'll go. Yeah, if Nurkic is playing, then Ace and Royce O'Neal. If he's not, then Filipowski, and I'll go Royce O'Neal. Mm-hmm. Kind of like what he's been able to do recently, starting 4 days rest. Yeah.
All right, Daniel's got Herb Jones on his roster, and all of his injury slots are filled with better players. Would you drop to grab a youngster with more upside like Danny Wolf, 14-team 9-cat head-to-head?
Maybe. Herb Jones is... Yeah, I don't know if Herb Jones is a guy that's worth hanging on to, especially if Danny Wolf is giving you production now and has that silly season upside. Mm-hmm. There's certainly a scenario where Herb Jones is a shutdown candidate. I know they don't have their pick, but that doesn't mean they're going to force players to play through injury unless it's a rookie. But they're probably still not going to force them to play through injury. I think that's something you definitely consider. And I might even just say that's something I would probably do.
Yeah, I dropped Herb Jones a couple weeks ago, to be honest with you. I don't recall who I picked up for him, but the value really hasn't been there. Steals have been nice, 1.4 steals per game when he's available, but he's shooting 39% from the field. And I don't think the overall production is good enough to justify rostering him, even in a 14-team league. Now, if someone picks him up right after you drop him, more power to that person, but I don't think that's going to happen. So you may be able to revisit this down the line. So I do like the idea of dropping him in favor of a younger player with more upside. And that's a keeper league, mind you, but still, keeper league's all the more reason to kind of make a move like that, I think.
Yeah.
All right, James drops more congratulations to you.
Thank you, James.
Yeah, and let's see. Daniel would like to know, should I drop Yegor Dioman to grab AJ Mitchell, 10-team 9-cat head-to-head?
I don't know that I'm... Because, like, AJ Mitchell has been good.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten a few starts. Maybe I am doing that. But I am pretty low on Jaeger Dioman.
Yeah.
But I think he will be able to be really good end of season, like that silly season type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah, no, I'm going to go ahead and say I would do this, especially in a 10-team league, a little bit shallower. And maybe you can figure out if he is playing better during silly season about getting him closer to then.
At a minimum, you'll get increased value from AJ while Caruso and Dort are still out. So I think I would make that move as well. All right, Wemby, thoughts on Scoot Henderson? 9-cat, 12-teamer, TJ McConnell or Scoot Henderson?
I've had Scoot stashed in a league for a little while, but I just had to drop him because of injuries. But I do think that he can be productive when he comes back, but there isn't too much clarity as to that. If I'm just choosing between those two, I'd rather have Scoot Henderson, mostly just because of the upside. But we don't know when he's going to come back. We don't know what his role is going to look like when he comes back. And TJ McConnell is playing basketball right now. So I might lean TJ McConnell unless you can afford to be patient on Scoot.
I'm not too big on either of them, to be honest with you, in terms of fantasy value for the rest of the season. Portland's doing everything they can to compete in the West. So he'll have his opportunities once he gets back, but he's coming off a torn hamstring. And last update, he really wasn't doing much like high intensity work, just more spot shooting than anything. So he may be out for a while. In that case, I guess I would go TJ McConnell since, like you said, he's actually playing basketball right now. But I don't know if either one has much appeal for me in terms of rest of season value. Look at it that way.
It's fair.
All right. Noah, what is Maxime Renault's dynasty outlook?
So I had him preseason 207, so just outside the top 200. Could make a case to bump him inside the top 200 at this point. Been thinking about maybe needing to put out new dynasty rankings soon. I'm not putting a timeline on that. Goodness, I got to find the time for that to happen. But he is a player that I really like his upside a lot. Good to see him get the opportunity. I think with Sacramento, they just need to clean house. It's not going to be a short turnaround to being a competitive team again, but you have players that hold at least a little bit of value, probably end up being negative value because of their contracts, but you figure out different situations to get DeRozan, Sabonis, Levine, heck, Russell Westbrook, Dennis Schroeder, like on other teams, and force feed minutes to Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray, Devin Carter, if they want to actually play, and Maxime Renault, and just see what you have here. Hopefully that's something that can happen, but we'll see if it does with Sacramento. I don't know.
All right. Jay Huff or Andre Drummond for the rest of the season?
Andre Drummond.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Huff certainly had good moments, but I trust Drummond a bit more, even if you get Embiid back on the floor consistently. So
I think Andre Drummond getting the chance to start is going to happen more consistently than a Pacers center being productive consistently.
Yeah.
I'm steering clear. And I know there are people that like either Jay Huff or Isaiah Jackson. Was never super high on either of them.
Agreed. Okay, James would like to know, which center should I target if I want to trade Norman Powell for them? Let's see here. You can probably aim pretty high here, given how Norman has played this far.
Yeah, let's see. mean, he's been just strictly 9 cap value, a 3rd-round guy.
Yeah.
But that range is
You're not going to get like Alper and Şengün for him.
no. Would you trade? So if you're getting Norman Powell in this scenario, would you trade Jalen Duren?
I think I would.
Say the categories line up like you need the guard stats.
Mm-hmm. I think I would make that trade.
So there you go. I think that's a good one. Bam.
Yeah. That's another one. I think a little more about Bam than Duren just because of the historical production, but it'll certainly be something to consider as well. So I think I'd be more inclined to trade Duren than Powell, than Adebayo, actually.
Yeah. I mean, those are 2 very, very good centers. So it sounds like you'd be able to get a good center for Norman Powell. So that's good.
Sure. That's right. Bear down. Stay champs. All right. Brandon Miller is now probable tonight. I'm worried about the shoulder subluxation. I am as well. That's the injury that kept him out early in the season. When he missed that first game after the aggravation, they said it was just a sore shoulder. Then they changed the designation to a subluxation again. And somehow he's probable tonight. Making sense of the Hornets injury reporting is something that's troubled a lot of us for years. So I just hope it's not something where he can do more damage to that shoulder, if anything.
Yeah. My whole thing all offseason was like Jalen Johnson can't be injury prone just because of some shoulder injuries because those are just freak accidents. And now it's like, wait, is Brandon Miller's like actually like injury prone because of shoulders? Like that's kind of weird. But I mean, I hope he can stay healthy because he's really good when he's out there.
Yeah. I think he's another like shutdown concern just because of the injuries. And I don't know if he's reached like cornerstone status in Charlotte for sure, but a high lottery pick, I think they're going to exercise a bit more caution with someone like him or even LaMelo Ball than some other guys in that roster. So hopefully he can get back pretty soon, play tonight, and play well, but most importantly, just stay healthy. So, all right. That's the last question. So I think we're going to wrap this up now, unless Noah has anything extra to add.
I do not. That's all I got.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for sticking with us. Slight location change, but we got it done. So thank you. Enjoy the games tonight and have a good weekend. We'll talk to you all on Tuesday.